Hi everybody, Nana Prep here with our Prepstead project for the week. And this one's going to take me a couple of days to videotape because it's kind of a process. We're going to make goat's milk soap. It's the old-fashioned lye soap using the chemistry of saponification. And the first thing we're going to do is make sure we have all of our ingredients, all of our things ready to go, because once this process starts, you don't want to be having to hurry up and do something because it isn't ready. Crystal lye drain opener. Now, I could not find this over in the grocery section by the other drain openers. I had to go over to the plumbing section to find this. It was less than $5 for a pound. I should get at least 2 batches out of this jar. It's really just barely shy of allowing me to make 3 batches, and depending on your recipe, it possibly could. It's 100% lye, so it isn't Drano or all those things that are over on the grocery section. Go over to the plumbing section, get 100% lye. We've got lard. Good old-fashioned lard. Now, you don't need to use lard. I'm going to use lard on my first batch just because I want it to be as authentic as I can get it. But you can use Crisco. You can use any kind of hard fat. Anything that gets hard. It'll be fine. This is going to be our main fat. You want your main fat to be the cheap one. And it really isn't that expensive, so go over and get lard. We've got coconut oil. Now, we're using coconut oil because, you know, it adds a little something to your soap. We've got the unrefined, cold-pressed, virgin, organic coconut oil. And it's so warm in the house tonight that it's liquefied. I got this at Aldi's. I went over to Walmart. They have a brand called Louisiana that's like twice the size for about the same price. So next time, that's probably the route I'll go. But we're going to use this time. I have olive oil, refined extra virgin. Also got this at Aldi's. Not necessary. Again, it's going to add some moisturizing quality to my soap. It's good for the skin. We have our goat's milk. Now, there are all kinds of ways you can get goat's milk. I chose to get a can, which is basically the same as evap milk, only it was evap goat's milk. And I mixed it with water at same parts, can to can. Put it into ice cube trays and froze them. And 1 can of goat's milk got me 2 full ice cube trays. Freezing it keeps the lye process a little cooler than it would normally. We'll get into that a little bit more later. I got essential oils. Also got it at Walmart. Little pricey. Definitely going to look into some ways this summer. Maybe grow some lavender. Maybe some other fragrant flowers to see if I can get my own scents. This was less than $5 for 1 ounce. The recipe, the original recipe called for 2 ounces. I put my 1 ounce into my soap calculator. I'm hoping I got eucalyptus scent, so I just kind of wanted something clean. I suppose you don't have to use essential oils. I want to try to keep it natural as possible. I suppose you could use any fragrance that you wanted. So that's up to you. Or none at all. All right, what else we got here? We have our safety goggles. Anybody who knows anything about lye knows it's very dangerous, very caustic. Don't want to get it into your eyes. You are supposed to have safety goggles. You're supposed to have rubber gloves. You're supposed to have a mask. Now, I didn't get a mask. partially because I forgot to buy a mask. But I'm right under a fan, and I'm thinking my ventilation probably will be okay, as long as I don't stick my face directly into the bowl. If I pass out later, I'll let you know in the next part of the video. So you want to make sure those things are important. And I mean, these are from my son who took college chemistry, so they're the real deal. They're not safety glasses, they're safety goggles. There's a difference. All right, you need a scale of some sort. This is just a cheap digital scale. It's my normal kitchen scale, because all of these ingredients are measured by weight. You need a thermometer or of some sort, be it, you need 2 thermometers. You need candy thermometer, meat thermometers. A digital thermometer is fine as long as it's stainless steel. I've got Papa's thermometer gun, so I don't need to worry about what it's made of, because I can, you know, point it here and point it there, because in the process of mixing the lye with the liquid, it's going to get hot, which is why we're starting out with frozen goat milk, because it's going to help kind of keep that down a little bit. While that's doing that, we're going to be melting our fats in a pot on a very, very low heat. I mean, we are just going to melt them. And when you go to mix the two, they need to be within 10 degrees of each other. So one needs to be 100, one needs to be 90, or somewhere in between, you know, the same temperature, whatever. But they can't be any more than 10 degrees apart. You need plastic, glass, or stainless steel when working with the lye. Aluminum will not only ruin your soap, it'll ruin whatever you're using. Spoon, pot, bowl, it doesn't make any difference. I've got my plastic spoon, I've got glass bowl, I've got an enamel pot. I also have my infusion blender. If you don't have an infusion blender, you'll need a whisk, again, making sure it's plastic, glass, or steel. That's the rule. Plastic, glass, or steel. Don't falter from that rule. Another very important rule. You mix the lye with the liquid, not the liquid with the lye. If you have your lye in your bowl, and you go to throw your liquid on it, you're going to have a chemical reaction, and it's probably going to blow up in your face, which won't be fun and will ruin your whole day. So always lye in the liquid, not liquid in the lye. Very, very important. We have our mold. You can use any mold. I've read an old guy on the internet that literally just uses cardboard boxes. I was looking at my, number one, I don't know how much I'm going to have, so I hope I didn't underestimate it, but I'm looking at my ingredients here, and I know I'm going to only be using about half of this, I'm only going to be using about half of that, and that's, I'm going to use the whole one of that, so I went with my glass loaf pan. Remember the rule, plastic, glass, or stainless steel. I have wax paper in it, only for the purpose of helping me get it out of this container a little easier later. That's the only reason it's in there. Otherwise, it wouldn't matter. He used boxes and literally just peeled the boxes away and threw them away. He said it was the best thing. So maybe one of these days I'll try it that way, but this time I'm gonna use this. Also, lye is active. Once it's going, it's going to be active for 24 hours. So this spoon, this bowl, my pot, my immersion blender, all of that needs to probably be sitting. I'll probably put it all in my pot is what I'll do, and it needs to sit for 24 hours. I will probably also fill it with a little vinegar water, because vinegar, being on the opposite end of the lye, is going to help neutralize it a little bit. And then tomorrow, I'll wash it. I'm trying to think of any other super safety things I want you to know before we start. Make sure you try not to get it on your skin. If you do get it on your skin, immediately get to cold water. Run cold water on it at least for 5 minutes. Do not immediately walk over and pour vinegar on your hand or arm or whatever, which was what I thought. Well, why wouldn't you do that? Well, because it switches you too fast and in turn will then give you a chemical burn. So do the water, after you've done a water a little while, then maybe go with some water vinegar to help, get rid of it a little further. Better yet, just be super careful and don't get it on your skin. So, all right, I think I covered everything, and I'm going to get going. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is get our fats going in our enameled lined pot. Don't forget, enamel, glass, plastic, stainless steel. No aluminum. So we'll get our lard. Now you don't want to use a wooden spoon either. I'm just using this to get my lard out of the container. It's still pretty stiff, even though it's pretty warm in the kitchen. All the dogs are running in here because they hear me banging on the pot. I'm sure after I start mixing this, I'll get a bigger idea of the amount. I think it's going to make 2 pounds of soap. But what's 2 pounds of soap? I guess we'll find out. Okay. So I know that was a pound of lard, so I didn't need to measure that. But my other things I do. So I've got let me just, so you can see a little bit better. Got my scale. I'm going to go ahead and sit my bowl on it. Turn it on and zero it out, and it is zeroed. All right, my recipe that I put my ingredients into my soap calc, I'll have the link to that at the end of the video, is 8 ounces of olive oil. So, just go ahead and get this open. That should be about half of this jar. I'm up to about 7.99. How good am I? Let's see. Okay, we're going to go with 7.99. All right, I'm going to go ahead and go over here and add it to my lard. All right. Same with the coconut oil. I'm going to give it a little shake since it's kind of pretty much zero it out. Yeah, there's still some in there. So, I would imagine because of the chemistry involved that, if it says you need 8 ounces, you need 8 ounces. Don't try to skimp around with your measurements. Again, this is 14 ounces, so it'll be using most of this jar. All right, we're going to add that to our fat. Okay, it's actually looking like quite a bit already, way more than I estimated. So I may be changing the container that I'm going to use for a mold. All right. Get this out of the way. Now I'm going to put my stove on a pretty low setting. I have a simmer, a low, and it goes down to a simmer. I'm going to start it out on low. I'm going to continue to use my wooden spoon for now since I'm just working with this fat. But it just has to all be melted. Okay. Now on to our caustic portion. Let me get my other glove on. I'm going to get another bowl. Go ahead and put this one in the sink. These, by the way, are stainless steel. Yeah, stainless steel. So I could actually even mix in these if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to zero out. All right. Now, remember the rule. Add the lye to the liquid, not the liquid to the lye. So, I've got to measure out 12.16 ounces of my goat's milk. Okay, note to self, these were really hard to get out of this ice tray. But we're going to do it. So there's 9, so I need 12.6 ounces, and it may be this whole tray. I really don't know. Guess we'll find out. .17. Wow. So like 1 full plus 1 cube. That is crazy. Okay. All right, now safety goggles on. Safety first. We're going to go ahead and pour our goat's milk into our glass bowl. Remember, lye into the liquid, not liquid into the lye. Okay. All right, now we are going to need 4.94 ounce of lye. Zero that out. Okay, this is where you want to be paying attention. Don't let the kids be running around you. Don't let the husband be running around you. The dogs. Everybody needs to be paying attention while you're working with your lye. Got a little bubble to pop here. Do not pick the jar up and sniff it. All right, we want 4.9 ounce clean plastic, zeroed out. All right, we're 4.59. We want, oh, okay, we're at 4.96. I think we're probably okay. All right. Now slowly, do not just take this bowl and dump it in there, because the whole chemical reaction explosion is going to happen, and that's not what you need to happen. Plastic spoon at the ready. Before I start this, though, I want to run over here and just see what's happening in the factory. I turned that up to about 1 just to get things going. All right. Now, slowly add your lye. Start heating things up. It's going to start melting. Now the other reason, you know, I noticed this goat's milk's pretty dark colored to begin with. If you start out with room temp goat's milk and it starts heating up, it's liable to get really dark. Now, maybe that doesn't matter to you. Maybe you don't care about that. Nah, I'd like mine to stay as light colored as possible. Yeah, we are starting to melt. Things are starting to happen. Hopefully we're not going to stink Pawpaw out of the house. I have no idea if that's going to happen or not. I guess there was a reason Granny did this outside a big pot. All right, yeah, we are going at it. It is melting it right on down, which is awesome. That's why we started with the iced. Kind of helps keep this whole chemical reaction under control. And also, and see how I can sprinkle. This is a lot easier to sprinkle this lye on this liquid than to be just dumping the liquid onto the lye and trying to do it at a rate that, you know, keeps things at bay. Right. As soon as I get done with this, I'll bring it over here, bring the camera over for you to see it. See, it's melting it right on down. Spoon. Plastic, glass, or stainless steel. We're going to slowly just, you know, we don't have to be heavy-handed. We're not freaking making scrambled eggs. Let's just get it all mixed up together. You know, another thing you need to worry about whenever doing milk soaps, and I read this, is your milk curdling because of the heat. So, all the more reason to do it starting with frozen. Now, I did read, however, if you are just using water, don't freeze the water. I didn't give a reason why, but that's what everybody says. And you know, I'm just curious. I'm going to tempt this and just see what's happening. Okay, it's run about 72, 73. Okay, well, wasn't near as hot as I was expecting. And maybe that's because of the ice. So let's just get it all melted. And see, it's turning pretty brown. So, but that, you know, I really don't care. It doesn't really matter. It's not going to affect your soap at all. I don't know what these hard pieces are. I don't know what that is. But I've got these hard pieces, and I don't know what that is. So, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. I'm not going to worry about it at all. Now, you need to be keeping track of what's touched the lye and what hasn't. So, because those things that you're using with the lye, you're going to need to take special care with the cleaning later. Alright, it's pretty much all melted. I want to just check this temp, see if it's getting any... Oh yeah, we're up to 82 now. Alright, since this has already had the lye, I'm going to use it to rest my spoon. Okay, I'm going to go over and check my fat. Alright, it's still pretty... We're at 83 here. We're at 107 here. So, I need it to hurry up and melt. Oh wow, that's already getting thick. Okay, I'm going to bring my fat over. Okay, it's at 115, 116, so it needs to really be getting cooled down. Hopefully that's going to happen here pretty soon. 83, 82. So it needs to be, I need to get this oil down to about 111. Holding over there. Goggles are freaking hot. I'm going to go stand outside for a second and see if I can't get this to cool down just a smidge further. Okay, finally got it to get cooled down a bit. I am sitting at 91 in the fat and 81 with the lye. Now here's the part where I want you to be super careful, especially if you're using your immersion blender. Try not to splatter it or, you know, let it slop around. Put it in a nice big pot where you're going to have plenty of room. Alright, this part's been kind of worrying me a bit. I don't quite know how I'm going to manage it. Stainless steel. Oh, I can't hardly do it. All right. I think I'll use the pampered chef thing next time. You've got to continue doing this until you have full saponification. It's got to look like vanilla pudding, basically. Okay, it's kind of getting there. Okay, I'm almost there. What we're looking for is called trace, T-R-A-C-E. That is the point in the emulsion where the fat and the lye can no longer separate. Kind of like making mayonnaise. It's going to look like a thick pudding, and when I get to there, I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, guys, we have reached trace. Let me show you. Okay, the way they explain trace, it's when ridges and drips do not sink back down. So kind of take your whisk or your, see there, kind of like when you're checking for meringue, you see that? They stay in place. So we are at trace. So now is the time, sorry for the movement there, to add our scent. Alright, we're going to do this in the same way that we did the lye and the fat together. We're going to do it as we are blending. Okay, now we stir till we have trace again. Alright, we're just going to carefully remove our blender and drop it down in our bowl that we already have used for lye. And be warned, this sucker is hot, so it really got to work out. Okay. Alright, now. Ooh, dang it. Alright, now. The truth will come out. We're going to try and get our soap into our mold. Another part of the process that you don't want to be careless with. So I'm going to kind of spoon it in. Patting down as I go. We don't want any air bubbles. And just from the looks of things right now, I think my mold's going to be fine. Look how thick. I mean, it is really, really thick. Let me get... Now, I probably should have put wax paper on the ends, but I'll just take a butter knife and run it down it. I'm not, you know, this is not something, I'm not selling it at the fair. This is going down in my preps and at my sink, to tell you the truth. I'll perfect my process before I start selling things. But let me tell you guys, this was easy. This was not hard at all. Now, I couldn't imagine having to whisk that entire time. So if you were somebody who didn't have an emulsion blender, I'd maybe consider, I don't think they're very expensive, I'd maybe consider getting one. Now I'm going to scrape all I can out of here. Wow, my mold was actually perfect. Now some people make pretty little, you know, designs on top. I'm just making soap. I'm not looking for a blue ribbon at this point. All right. Pat, pat, pat. Excellent. Now, like I said, at this point, I'm going to put everything that touched the lye into my pot. And it's got to set 24 hours before I can wash it. So put it in a safe spot, maybe the back room, the laundry room, whatever. Whew. That was something else. Kind of cool, actually. Really didn't even get anything on my gloves. I mean, it really wasn't that freaky to deal with. But, you know, I was conscious. And I paid attention to what I was doing every step of the way. Pretty excited about this. So, same as the pot and stuff. You want to stick this somewhere. Don't get it on you. Don't let anybody else get it on them. Hopefully I don't have any air bubbles. It looks like I do, but I'll figure that out later. This is batch 1. And I'm pretty excited about it. And, you know, from what I can tell, the 1 ounce of essential oil was plenty, and now I have a bottle that I'll wash out and save for some of my own stuff this summer. So tomorrow tomorrow night, I will pop this out of the loaf pan and we'll cut it into bars. So you'll join me again there and we'll talk some more about the process. All right, guys, it is the next day and we have our soap. It really is strong. I'm glad I didn't use 2 ounces like the other recipe that I seen. However, it may fade over time too, because even though your first cure is 24 hours, it's really going to be 4 to 6 weeks before you're going to want to use this on your skin for soap. The saponification process, because we did a cool process, is going to take that long. Now, had you did it as a hot process, supposedly it could be used in as little as 72 hours. Whatever you want to do. You see the pictures of Granny over the fire stirring the soap. You know, that was hot process soap. I mean, she had to make soap every 3 months. She used it on her clothes. She used it on her people. She used it for everything. It was her soap. So, she couldn't wait 4 to 6 weeks for a batch of soap to get done. But that's okay, because we can. And I may try hot process one of these days, but this time we just did cold process. It was so simple. There was no smell involved at all, by the way. And I forgot to mention that earlier, because I was kind of afraid of the, you know, when you think of drain opener, you think of the rotten egg smell. And, you know, using this 100% lye, there was no smell at all. Up until I used the essential oils. And then all I could smell was the essential oils because they got on everything, and that's okay. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'll see in 4 to 6 weeks. The eucalyptus was okay. We'll see. It wasn't the scent I was going for. I don't know what that scent is. I just know I bought goat milk soap in the past. In fact, my youngest daughter just brought me a little bar the other day from some Amish store, and it just smells so clean and good, and I just got to figure out what that smell is, but, you know, whatever. So anyway, I've already taken my butter knife and popped the ends. You know, I would suggest going ahead and making some wax paper or parchment paper go up the edges just to make it a bit easier. But we're going to pop it out. Alright, here we are. I'm going to move this down for you so you can really see what's happening. Now, my only worry is that in the middle, I mean, it feels hard. It is hard. But here's the thing, and this is why you need to do this at this point, because it needs to be hard, but you need to be able to cut it. Unless you plan on using just a giant bar of soap, which, hey, power to you. All right. I wonder if, you know, they say to use wax paper. In fact, I even used the exact brand, which was Cut Right, that they suggested I use. I don't know. I kind of think parchment paper might be a little better. Might be a little stronger. Whatever. You play around with it, decide what you like. All right, there we are. We got our bar of soap. Giant bar of soap. Okay. Looks like, you know, there's some creases and stuff in there. So, you know, I might want to perfect my how I pour it in the mold. Number one, I'm going to use my Pampered Chef bowl with a handle next time. So keep that in mind. Because it was really hard to hold that big bowl while I was trying to emulsify at the same time and pour it in slowly. And a lot of this, it was so thick, I noticed. I wondered if I didn't wait just a bit too long, that maybe it would have been ready to pour a little sooner. Maybe it wouldn't have been quite so thick and I wouldn't have had all this business. But again, I don't care. All right, moment of truth. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, going at an ankle. Trying. Ooh. Okay, so. Hey. Look at there. Alright, now I totally did not go straight. You know, some of you are probably going to be way better than me on this. I'm going to try to get this one a little bit better. Alright. Oh yeah, this one's a lot better. Huh. You know, it looks like a loaf of undone bread. Wow, really smells. You can really smell the eucalyptus. Very cool. So there we are. Not a perfect square because I used the loaf pan. You know, I was on Amazon and priced the soap molds, but I wasn't going to invest in that until I knew I was going to be able to do this process, or if this was even going to remotely be a successful thing. But I think now I'm going to go ahead and spend the 10 or 11 bucks and give me a nice square mold. They're wood boxes with silicone liners. So the wood box supports the silicone, of course, while you're waiting for your soap to harden, but then you pop that silicone off and just peel it off, and it's a perfectly square piece of soap. So definitely something I'm going to go ahead and get. Awesome. Now what we do is we finish cutting these, and what we have to do, let me just push this out of the way. I've got this set up. I've got my little cooling rack and my cardboard box. And this actually was the cardboard box that I had considered using as a mold, and glad I didn't, because it didn't make near what, wouldn't have been able to fill it at all. So we put these here, and they are going to have to cure. And I'm going to continue loading this up. Then I'm going to take them down to the cellar when I take my load down for this week, which I'll post a picture of that later. I got a huge load this week to take down. It's pretty awesome. Now, if you don't do it this way. You will need to go down, every so often and flip them so the air is flowing all around them and they stay that way. Because I'm putting them on this, I'm not going to do that. I can take it downstairs, I'm going to set it, forget it, come back in about a month and see what my soap's doing. Also, another thing I wanted to mention, you might not want to, if you're storing in a cellar like I am. I'm doing that because it's wintertime. Right now it's dry and cold. I'm not going to worry about any moisture down there. Now, summertime, I probably am not going to do that. The cellar tends to be a little bit more damp, humid, even sometimes down there during the summertime. So I probably wouldn't do that. I'd probably just go ahead and find a place up here in the house to store it. But anyway, I call this prepper project a complete success, and I can encourage every one of you to give it a go. It wasn't that hard. It was kind of fun. Something you can include, the older kids in. It teaches them a little bit of chemistry. Have them get on Google and look up saponification and trace and all these things and what that means, and and talk about how that you can make lye out of wood ash, which we're gonna maybe do this year, because not that the lye is expensive, and right now I would probably just continue to buy lye, but if my supply chain goes away and I can't get lye, that means I can't get soap. And that isn't going to work for me. So I want to know how to make lye if I have to. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you try it. And Nana Prep out.